This episode is sponsored by Kinsta. As a business, you have client meetings and keeping up with everyday tasks. Who has the time to stress out about site security and speed? Well, with Kinsta, the technical stuff is taken care of. Kinsta is your managed hosting provider for WordPress, meaning that customers get a hosting environment alongside a plethora of features, configurations, and optimizations. With Kinsta, you get lightning-fast load times, top-tier security, and unmatched human-only customer support. Whether you're a business owner, web developer, or running a digital agency, Kinsta makes managing your website easy and efficient. Did I mention fast load times? Just by moving to Kinsta, you can experience up to 200% faster load times, as well as enterprise-grade security. And thanks to their unlimited free expert-led migrations, Kinsta ensures a smooth transition from other hosting providers. I really enjoy My Kinsta, which is the platform's intuitive custom dashboards that make managing my website or multiple websites a breeze. Ready to experience Kinsta's hosting for yourself? Get your first month free when you sign up at kinsta.com today. It's the perfect opportunity to see why Kinsta is trusted by thousands of businesses worldwide to power their websites. Visit kinsta.com to get this limited time offer for new customers on select plans. Don't miss out. Get started for free today.
A tram is coming down the track towards a single human. You can pull the lever and send the tram down a different track, killing 5 sentient robots instead. What do you do?
Save the human. Come on.
That's what us humans would do. I asked an AI.
Yeah.
It said, I don't have enough information to determine if a human life is more valuable than a sentient robot's.
Pull the plug.
In the absence of clear
Pull
information,
the plug, Graham.
I would default to inaction.
Abort.
It's going to save the robots.
It's begun.
Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule.
My name's Graham Cluley.
And I'm Mark Stockley.
And we'd like you to tune into our podcast, The AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre
And sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence.
The AI fix, the future surreal.
Guys, I've got something cool to tell you about. As an engineering leader, a manager, and an engineer myself, I'm geeking out over a new product I'm just discovering that helps me with each of these points of view. The great team at SEMA, builders of the SEMA Intelligence Platform, have been working on what they call the Product Roadmap Radar. It's this integrated solution that uses generative AI to observe your code and Jira in order to summarize, synthesize, and make it easier to deliver your roadmap. It not only helps keep your roadmap on track, but it helps reduce the time engineers spend in meetings. Cue all the engineers clapping. The Product Roadmap Radar is extremely easy to set up. This only takes about 5 minutes. Just enable your integrations and let AI do all the mapping for you. My favorite part? I'm glad you asked. The radar doesn't just tell you about your roadmap. It suggests changes you need to make based on the code that's been written and the stories that have been addressed. No commenting, no special setup, all generative AI. It gives you an outside view of your roadmap based on the code and projects a target completion date based on outstanding work and activity. Again, no comments, no special setup. It even detects shadow work when development is being done but Jira isn't being updated. I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I think you will be too. Take a second to watch a short but awesome demo video. Go to codestory.co/PRR to watch it today. You'll like what you see. This episode is brought to you by Paddle. Don't settle for less when you can have more, MOR, with Paddle, your merchant of record. Eliminate the headaches of payments, grow your revenue everywhere, and focus on what you do best, building your product. Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com.
What I would consider the first MVP we shipped out would be Docs Chat, which is essentially the product we worked on the very first hackathon that we all got together. So it's pretty much a tool that allows you to chat with your documents wherever they are hosted. But the important stuff is that it's running locally. Everybody's concerned about their data. You don't necessarily want to be shipping your data off anywhere. So using like local LLMs like Llama, or even now with advent of things like DeepSeek, essentially running all of that locally and then being able to actually chat with it and ask questions so you could connect it to something. My name is David Asamu, co-founder and CEO of Nestle.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve
Most
more.
proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took
you.
it off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it. It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Laupart, and today how David Asamu is bridging the gap between research and real-world change by advancing the future of AI. This episode is brought to you by Paddle. Don't settle for less when you can have more, MOR, with Paddle, your merchant of record. Eliminate the headaches of payments, grow your revenue everywhere, and focus on what you do best, building your product. Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelOff. Check them out at propeloff.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com. David Asamu grew up in Nigeria and got into technology early through serving his community. He attended university and continued his community efforts there and was introduced to the joys of Python programming. Outside of tech, he spends time with his significant other and family. He enjoys soccer, whether it's watching or playing. When I asked him about food, he mentioned loving Nigerian delicacies, such as Jollof rice. Previously, David was working at a FinTech company. While he was there, he and his friends were observing the trends around AI, and they wanted to get more involved. So they got together and built something over the weekend, and eventually decided to advance AI through research. This is the creation story of Nestle.
Nestle is something new, so it's imaginable that a lot of people don't know it. So we are an AI research lab. We try to bridge the gap between research and real-world change. So what that looks like is there are a lot of new interest in development, especially around the AI field, that always just ends up as conference papers and publications, but nobody's actually picking up with them or trying them out. So what we try to do on our end is do research on our end as well and actually publish papers and conference publications, journals and things like that, but not leaving it at that, looking at some of our own research or what other people have done and seeing is there ways we can start applying them today such that it actually benefits the common man. So are there ways that everyday problems can be reimagined, especially solving them with AI? So it's either problems that are previously out of reach, but now with AI we can actually attempt to solve them. In terms of how I got started, it's actually quite an interesting story. So I had a couple of friends that are interested in like the whole AI research and some working at some AI companies. I was working at a FinTech company then and all that. And then we've been just discussing and seeing, is there a way to get more involved in this? So I decided to essentially host an hackathon over a weekend and I just invited a couple of my friends over. And that was essentially how we got started, built what we call our first product over the weekend. Just playing around with AI tools that were available then, the current state that we understood, and how we can use it to solve one of our own problems.
This will be interesting given that, you're in an AI research lab. What would you consider your MVP for Nestle? What was that first version of Nestle? Like maybe not a product or a certain thing you're researching, but of Nestle itself. And how long did it take to bring it together? And what sort of tools were you using?
Well, I would consider the first MVP we shipped out would be Docs Chat, which is essentially the product we worked on the very first hackathon that we all got together. So it's pretty much a tool that allows you to chat with your documents wherever they are hosted. But the important stuff is that it's running locally. So it was still this era where everybody's concerned about their data. You don't necessarily want to be shipping your data off anywhere. So using like local LLMs like Llama, or even now with advent of things like DeepSeek, essentially running all of that locally and then being able to actually chat with it and ask questions. So you could connect it to something like Google Docs, for example. It would index all your Google Docs, and then you could essentially ask questions across all your documents, which was actually quite interesting. So I would say in terms of the very first MVP product and diving into the state of AI that we worked on, that would be it.
Let's dive into that. Tell me about a hard decision or trade-off that you had to make in forming Nestle, right? And that could be around lots of different things, specifically around how you approach the problem that you're trying to solve. But I'm curious about those decisions and trade-offs that you had to make and how you coped with them.
So I think the biggest decision, honestly, was around just picking projects to work on, research to focus on. We have limited resources and time constraint, so it's important that we're considering the effort to value ratio in terms of what we're doing as well. So the biggest issue is always just figuring out what to be working on at the moment, how to allocate the resources that we have available. How we approach that is thinking both short-term and long-term. In terms of more long-term projects that we want to commit our resources to working on. So that's around like the research that we are doing and probing things, which we know will generally take a while to actually have anything to show for it. But in the short term as well, are there like quick products that we can easily work on that actually can take advantage of maybe some pre-existing research by other people or some of the things that we are working on as well. So how we made the trade-offs or the decisions around there is then figuring out when we want to work on something, prioritizing the long-term versus the short-term, picking some of the short-term projects and then focusing on a long-term goal as well. So basically it's just a balancing act that continually happens.
This message is sponsored by Vanta. Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance for in-demand frameworks like SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more. And with automation and AI throughout the platform, you can proactively manage vendor risk and complete security questionnaires up to 5 times faster, getting valuable time back. Vanta can also save you money. A new IDC white paper found that Vanta customers achieve $535,000 per year in benefits. So the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Join over 10,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, listeners get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/codestory. That's VANTA.com/codestory for $1,000 off. Guys, I've got something cool to tell you about. As an engineering leader, a manager, and an engineer myself, I'm geeking out over a new product I'm just discovering that helps me with each of these points of view. The great team at SEMA, builders of the SEMA Intelligence Platform, have been working on what they call the Product Roadmap Radar. It's this integrated solution that uses generative AI to observe your code and Jira in order to summarize, synthesize, and make it easier to deliver your roadmap. It not only helps keep your roadmap on track, but it helps reduce the time engineers spend in meetings. Cue all the engineers clapping. The Product Roadmap Radar is extremely easy to set up. This only takes about 5 minutes. Just enable your integrations and let AI do all the mapping for you. My favorite part? I'm glad you asked. The radar doesn't just tell you about your roadmap. It suggests changes you need to make based on the code that's been written and the stories that have been addressed. No commenting, no special setup, all generative AI. It gives you an outside view of your roadmap based on the code and projects a target completion date based on outstanding work and activity. Again, no comments, no special setup. It even detects shadow work when development is being done but Jira isn't being updated. I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I think you will be too. Take a second to watch a short but awesome demo video. Go to codestory.co/PRR to watch it today. You'll like what you see. This episode is brought to you by Paddle. As a startup, you face unique challenges to stay competitive. You and your team need to stay focused on your product, not your payments. You need to do more, MOR, and DIY less. With Paddle. Paddle is your merchant of record, becoming the seller of record for your SaaS transactions, enabling your team to focus on what's important, your product. Paddle handles all payment management across multiple gateways and methods, taking ownership of tax liability while remaining compliant with regulations across all markets. The platform handles all aspects of SaaS billing models, upgrades, add-on, trials, and more. Let's look at the results. MOR revenue optimization is built into Paddle and accounts for up to 16% higher conversion rates, reduced payment failures, localized pricing, and churn prevention, recovering 40% of cancellations. Their developer-friendly tools are API first with comprehensive documentation, removing the burden from your engineers. With Paddle as your merchant of record, you'll generate more revenue, find and keep more customers, grow faster, and stay compliant everywhere. So what are you waiting for? Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. So I'm curious about how you're going to progress and mature at Nestle. And I know it's early days and early innings in your business, but I'm curious about how you're going to mature it and what your roadmap is for Nestle, for how you go about your business, and for the team.
In terms of what we're working on, for example, we're currently working on a conference paper, which I'm quite excited about that. So far as well, we've been able to build 2 products that we've launched, basically around the chat that I mentioned. There's also prompt chat as well. And then there's a third bigger actual project on the road around compliance as well, which is quite interesting. So in terms of the product roadmap and like the research we're doing, interesting stuff's planned ahead. But overall, I think we try to keep our roadmap quite dynamic. As a team members, we have a lot of freedom to work on things or to decide what to work on. So we are essentially always reviewing projects internally in terms of the resource constraints that we have as well, to then decide how to continue pursuing this project. So we do have some things in the work. Long term, we try to keep it open and essentially encourage people to, internally within the team, what you are interested in, what problems you really gets you up in the morning or keeps you up at night that you want to work on, and then just essentially adding those to our roadmaps as well.
So how big is your team right now?
Right now, so we're just a tiny team of 5 people, myself included.
I'm curious about how you built that team, and maybe even how you're going to build that team bigger in the future, and what you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you.
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned, the team is still quite small. And I would say so far I've been really lucky working with people that I know very well, or I've previously worked together with. The whole stuff started from like an hackathon that I hosted, as I mentioned earlier. So basically it was mostly my friends and people that I was familiar with that I invited. People that I already know share like similar interests. So it was very easy getting started with them and also getting them on board. I think the most important thing, aside the general vision alignment and all that, is ownership. Being like a small team, it's important that everybody has ownership of what they're working on. Focus was on like self-starters, people that could essentially get started, explore, look at projects and research that is being done, what they want to contribute, challenges that they want to pick up. As I mentioned, in terms of like our roadmap and projects, it's been like quite open. So it's mostly driven by the interest of everyone on the team. So it's important that we have like people that are very motivated to get started. They have ownership over their tasks. And I think that's essentially what has made our model work so far. We have people that are driven and they are responsible.
This episode is brought to you by Propel. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use Propel Auth. Propel Auth is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, Propel Auth adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with Propel Auth. Check them out at propelauth.com. That's propelauth.com. Guys, I've got something cool to tell you about. As an engineering leader, a manager, and an engineer myself, I'm geeking out over a new product I'm just discovering that helps me with each of these points of view. The great team at SEMA, builders of the SEMA intelligence platform, have been working on what they call the Product Roadmap Radar. It's this integrated solution that uses generative AI to observe your code and Jira in order to summarize, synthesize, and make it easier to deliver your roadmap. It not only helps keep your roadmap on track, but it helps reduce the time engineers spend in meetings. Cue all the engineers clapping. The Product Roadmap Radar is extremely easy to set up. This only takes about 5 minutes. Just enable your integrations and let AI do all the mapping for you. My favorite part? I'm glad you asked. The radar doesn't just tell you about your roadmap. It suggests changes you need to make based on the code that's been written and the stories that have been addressed. No commenting, no special setup, all generative AI. It gives you an outside view of your roadmap based on the code and projects a target completion date based on outstanding work and activity. Again, no comments, no special setup. It even detects shadow work when development is being done but Jira isn't being updated. I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I think you will be too. Take a second to watch a short but awesome demo video. Go to codestory.co/PRR to watch it today. You'll like what you see. So I'm curious how this is going to apply, but I want to ask about scalability. And that could be technology, yes, but it can also be business. How are you addressing scalability with the problems that you're solving? Or has there been interesting areas already where you had to fight it as you grew?
We are basically just figuring it out as we go. On the technical aspects, getting access to the kind of equipment that we need and resources that we need to actually do some of the research that we're interested in. Being a small lab, currently self-funded, there is some limitations to that, but in the AI world, that's also an advantage because it gets you to be creative in how you try to solve problems. You're not just blowing resources at it. You're thinking about how to do this in the most efficient way as well. So it's been like interesting on the technical side. Some of the challenges around that has been around like resources and just being able to access the GPUs needed for training and things like that. On the business side of it as well, which I think is closely related, is just getting money to keep everything running and afloat as well. So currently just running on friends and family, donations that we have. So essentially in terms of keeping this sustainable and running, we would need to figure out like a model in terms of how we want to continue. Are we relying on just grants, startups? Do you want to actually, so far, for example, our products that we've worked on, everything is like open source, free, available on our repositories. So would we consider monetizing them down the road and things like that? So I think there's still a lot to figure out as regards how we want to scale and how everything will work out. But yeah, that's part of the excitement of building a startup.
Okay, even early innings, as you step out and you look across all that you have built, what are you most proud of?
I think for me, what excites me the most is always the next big thing, the next project that we're working on. And at the moment, we have a couple that we're working on. on the research end, for example, we have this code generation project that is quite exciting for me because in terms of the impact, we're basically trying to redefine how the industry benchmark for testing code agents or LLMs, essentially just flipping how that benchmark works. And then I won't want to go into details of spilling so much of the details, but yeah, we'll be publishing a lot of it in a coming conference journal. But yeah, it's been quite interesting. So for me, I think just wake up, look at the next project. Even after this, we're already essentially thinking about the next project or the next big thing to work on. So each time I wake up, what keeps me excited is the next big project we're working on. But yeah, we've had some nice past projects that we've done as well.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
I wouldn't say we really underestimated it, but we didn't really project really well enough. It's around the cost that we'll be racking up working on these AI projects. The whole stuff got started out of excitement, and we've essentially the funding and going at it. But to just keep going at some of these experiments that we are doing and the scale that we are doing them requires a lot of GPU time for training and things like that. And I think early on we just underestimated how much all of this will cost to actually even get started and keep everything running. But yeah, I think it's been a learning curve, and we've essentially been figuring out how to ensure that everything keeps running fine, getting funds. We are also currently looking to grants and startup programs and things like that just to support the ongoing research. And I think a lot of cloud providers are also generous for researchers. You can essentially apply to get some of these tools for free or access to some of these platforms. So I'd say that's probably an oversight or a mistake from our end starting up.
So let's switch to you, David. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
I think over the years I've worked at several startups, and it's been quite interesting. I think I've picked up a lot of things from the grit, determination, and hunger required to succeed, and working closely with just people here and there for different startups. I think I've picked a lot from people personally. I think my last company that I was working at, I'd say I learned a lot working directly from the CTO and the head of engineering at my org. They were really nice people. I joined as an early engineer. So essentially just experiencing the whole setup cycle with them and building something so wonderful and valuable was a very useful experience. And essentially just how to learn and run everything. Yeah, it was quite fun working for them. Outside of the startup world, I think the Moonshot Factory by Google is also a huge inspiration for me personally, and even the members of the team in terms of the kind of projects that they work on and the aspiration. You're basically just solving something much bigger than yourself, and I think that's what we're aiming for and trying to build out on our end as well. So I think those would be the major inspirations for me.
So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having started to go down this road a bit?
First of all, tell them congratulations, because started is the hardest part. And once you get started, it gets easier. And honestly, I'll just tell them that none of us has it all figured out. We try to basically just figure it out on the fly. So they shouldn't feel the pressure to think they need to have everything figured out just before they proceed. With what they already have, they should just keep going at it. And then the second genuine opinion that I will give that I think has been super helpful for me is to not try and do it alone, but surround yourself with people and advisors that you can always lean on. So that's from your founding team to basically just advisors. As I've always said, I'm big on community, and even if you're trying to, as an entrepreneur, you shouldn't feel the need to have to do everything alone. There is so much you can learn by just leveraging community, other entrepreneurs around. So basically just leaning on other people, and they would be surprised how eager people are to provide guidance and mentorship. So some really you've started, you've done the hard parts, just keep going. Then secondly, look for advisors. Don't forsake the community.
Well, that's great advice. Well, David, thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for telling the creation story of Nestle.
Thank you. Really glad to be here and share the story from my end as well.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
We're shipping Father's Day gifts with a rapid-fire round of questions. Ready?
Yes. My gift. Can you pack it?
Yep.
Ship it?
Yes.
Guarantee it?
Of course.
Oh, send a set of golf clubs.
Oh, hole in one.
Protect electronics? Dog-proof it? Return it if they hate it?
Yes, no, and yeah.
Are you the UPS store?
Hey, we have a winner!
Visit theupsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Visit a store today.